Right now, somewhere in the Persian Gulf, a captain is staring at a navigation screen that tells him his ship is sitting inside a nuclear power plant. He's not inside a nuclear power plant. He's on the water. He has been on the water for days. But his GPS, the same satellite navigation system that has guided commercial vessels safely through the world's most congested shipping lanes for 3 decades, is telling him something impossible. His ship's automatic identification system, the digital fingerprint that every vessel in the world broadcasts to prevent collisions and maintain traffic separation, is reporting a location that does not exist in any ocean on Earth. This is not a malfunction. This is not a software glitch. This is not bad weather interfering with satellite reception. This is war, fought with signals, fought with frequencies, fought with invisible electronic weapons that cost a fraction of a missile and can paralyze an entire fleet without firing a single shot. Iran has been running the most sophisticated GPS warfare operation in maritime history since the moment this conflict began on February 28th. And as of day 13, it is working so completely, so comprehensively, and so devastatingly that over 150 ships in the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman have been affected, half of every vessel in the entire region. Their navigation systems producing readings that place them at airports, inside nuclear facilities, over land in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, drifting across the coast of Iran, or sitting in the middle of cities that are hundreds of kilometers from the nearest water. Maritime intelligence firm Windward, which tracks every vessel movement across the world's oceans in real time, documented what happened from the moment the first U.S.-Israeli airstrikes hit Tehran. GPS interference records surged from approximately 850 per day before February 28th to over 1,210 per day immediately after the strikes began, peaking at 1 on March 2nd. By March 7th, day 7 of the war, over 1,650 ships were simultaneously affected, a 55% increase from the previous week alone. Windward identified at least 21 new jamming clusters spread across UAE, Qatari, Omani, and Iranian waters. Each one a zone where satellite navigation has been rendered unreliable or completely false. The technical terms are jamming and spoofing, and they are not the same thing. Jamming is simpler. It floods the radio frequencies that GPS satellites use with noise, drowning out legitimate signals, and leaving navigation receivers without any position data at all. The ship goes blind. The instrument panel shows nothing or shows error messages. The captain falls back on radar, paper charts, and visual landmarks. The navigation methods of the 19th century deployed in a strait so narrow and so heavily trafficked that a single navigational error at ship scale can trigger catastrophic collisions. Spoofing is more dangerous and more sophisticated. Instead of blocking the signal, spoofing replaces it. A spoofing system sends fake GPS coordinates to receivers in the target area, coordinates that look exactly like legitimate satellite data, pass every technical check the receiver performs, and produce a confident, authoritative position reading. The difference is that the position is completely fabricated. Ships believe they know exactly where they are. They are wrong. And because the spoofed signal feels legitimate, crews may not realize they are receiving false data until they have already taken navigational actions based on it. Course corrections, speed changes, traffic separation maneuvers that place them in danger. Professor Todd Humphreys at the University of Texas, who directs the Radio Navigation Laboratory and has spent his career studying satellite navigation vulnerabilities, confirmed in an analysis of the current Gulf situation that the pattern carries every hallmark of deliberate state-level electronic warfare. This is not the incidental interference that sometimes occurs near military installations. This is coordinated, targeted, sustained GPS manipulation aimed specifically at disrupting navigation through the Strait of Hormuz, the 33-kilometer-wide choke point through which, under normal conditions, approximately 20% of the world's entire oil supply passes every single day. France 24 and multiple independent analysts confirmed what the data shows clearly. The spoofing is concentrated near the strait itself. It is directed specifically at surface vessels. Only one actor has both the capability and the motive to make the strait digitally impassable while maintaining operational deniability. The interference began on February 28, 2026, the exact same moment American bombs started falling on Tehran. That is not a coincidence. That is a strategy. And the strategy is working in ways that no missile, no drone, and no naval mine has managed to achieve on its own, because it has done something to the Strait of Hormuz that no physical weapon alone could accomplish. It has made the world's most important shipping lane not just dangerous to enter, but genuinely impossible to navigate with confidence. 150 ships are anchored outside the strait right now. They're not waiting for the shooting to stop. They are waiting to know where they are. There are 3 United States carrier strike groups positioned in the waters near the Strait of Hormuz right now. 3, each one built around an aircraft carrier carrying between 75 and 90 fighter jets. Each one escorted by destroyers, cruisers, and submarines carrying the most advanced naval weapon systems ever deployed in the history of warfare. The combined firepower of those three carrier groups exceeds the total military capacity of most nations on Earth. Their presence was announced loudly and publicly by the Trump administration as a demonstration of American resolve, a signal to Iran and to the world that the United States would not tolerate interference with global energy supply. Not one of them has entered the strait. Reuters confirmed on March 10th, through three independent shipping industry sources who participate in regular U.S. Navy briefings, that the Navy has refused near-daily requests from the commercial shipping industry for military escorts through Hormuz since the war began. The shipping industry has been asking every single day. Oil companies, tanker operators, liquefied natural gas carriers, cargo ship owners, all of them reaching out through formal channels, participating in regular Navy briefings, making the same request over and over. Please escort our vessels through the strait so we can move the world's oil. The Navy's answer, delivered at every briefing, has been the same. Not yet. The risk of attack is too high. Consider that slowly. The most powerful naval force in human history, three carrier groups, dozens of warships, the full weight of American military supremacy, has assessed the Strait of Hormuz as too dangerous to enter. And the reason is not that Iran has a more powerful navy. Iran's navy was declared combat ineffective by the White House on day 6, after American forces sank more than 50 Iranian naval vessels. The reason is mines, drones, drone boats packed with explosives, operated by remote control, capable of approaching a warship at high speed through GPS-jammed waters where radar is confused and navigation is unreliable. A $500 drone boat can damage a $4 billion warship. A field of naval mines laid in 33 kilometers of water can destroy a convoy. And in waters where GPS spoofing has placed 1,650 ships at impossible locations, where navigation is unreliable, where the strait is so narrow that a vessel cannot maneuver freely, the calculus of entering under fire is different from anything the U.S. Navy has faced in a generation. Iran understands this asymmetry better than anyone. The IRGC commander responsible for Hormuz operations issued a public statement this week that contained one of the most extraordinary taunts in the history of naval confrontation. He said, "If any country can convince a U.S. warship to come and escort them through the strait, Iran will guarantee the tanker's safety. Come, bring the warship. We will let you pass, we promise." It was sarcasm. The entire world understood it as sarcasm. Iran was publicly inviting the United States Navy to enter the strait because Iran knows, and every maritime analyst knows, and the shipping industry knows after 13 days of refused requests, that the Navy will not come. Trump said repeatedly that the Navy would escort tankers if necessary. His Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, announced on March 10th that the Navy had successfully escorted an oil tanker through the strait. The oil price immediately fell by more than 17% on the news, markets exhaling in relief. Then the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt walked to the podium and corrected the record. The Navy had not escorted any vessel, not one. The post was deleted. The announcement was wrong. The oil price swung back, 17% down, 17% back up in the same afternoon, based entirely on a false statement from a senior American government official about whether the world's most powerful Navy had managed to move one tanker through a 33-kilometer strait. That market swing, that single afternoon of price chaos caused by a deleted tweet, tells you more about the current state of American credibility in this conflict than any press conference. Meanwhile, the GPS warfare is expanding beyond ships. Aviation analysts at Sky Data Services confirmed that on March 2nd alone, at least 169 commercial aircraft flying over the eastern Arabian Peninsula were hit by GPS spoofing. In June 2025, during the 12-day war, GPS interference in the same region was thought to be a contributing factor in a collision between two oil tankers, the Adeline and Front Eagle, off the UAE coast. That was a preliminary preview. What is happening now is that same capability deployed at full scale across the entire Gulf, affecting half of all vessels in the water simultaneously, 24 hours a day, with no indication from any U.S. or allied authority that it can be stopped or countered in the current environment. A merchant marine captain who has sailed cargo routes around the world for decades, speaking to AFP on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of his situation, described what captains are now doing, resorting to radar, to visible landmarks, to paper charts. 21st century vessels running on 20th century navigation because the 21st century navigation system has been turned into a weapon against them. 3 carrier groups sitting, watching, too dangerous to enter. Iran made an offer this week that no country in the world has ever made to the United States in the modern era. It told Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, that if they want their oil to flow through the Strait of Hormuz, they have a choice. They can expel the American ambassador from their country, or they can expel the Israeli ambassador, or both. If they do that, Iran will let their tankers pass freely through the strait without interference. Their oil will move. Their economies will function. The war that is currently costing the global economy hundreds of billions of dollars per week will become, for them specifically, a problem that belongs to someone else. In other words, abandon your alliance with America, and you can have your energy back. This is not a military maneuver. This is a geopolitical restructuring offer delivered through the barrel of a GPS jammer and the threat of naval mines to every government in the Gulf that has spent decades balancing its relationship with Washington against its geographic reality of living next door to Tehran. The offer has not been publicly accepted by any Gulf state. But the fact that Iran felt confident enough to make it openly through official channels on day 12 of a war where American bombers are still flying sorties over Iranian cities tells you something about how Iran reads the current balance of leverage. Iran is not offering this from a position of weakness. It is offering it from the position of a country that has successfully closed the world's most important oil shipping lane, rendered American naval escorts impossible for 13 consecutive days, forced oil prices above $100 per barrel, jammed the GPS navigation of 1,650 ships simultaneously, and watched 3 U.S. carrier groups sit motionless outside a strait they will not enter. The Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, framed the current oil market situation this week with a bluntness that no American official has matched. The shortage created by this war, he said, is bigger than the Arab oil embargo of 1973, bigger than the disruption caused by the Iranian Revolution of 1979, and bigger than Iraq's invasion of Kuwait in 1990 combined. Those 3 events reshaped the global energy economy for decades. They created recessions, triggered political crises, and accelerated the technological transitions that produced everything from fuel efficiency standards to the modern electric vehicle industry. Araghchi is claiming that what Iran has produced in 13 days exceeds all 3 of them together. The International Energy Agency's confirmed data supports the scale of the claim, even if not the precise framing. 15 million barrels of oil per day are stranded. Iraq has already cut production by 1.5 million barrels per day because storage is full and there's nowhere to send it. Qatar has declared force majeure on LNG exports. 20% of global liquefied natural gas supply is offline. Saudi Aramco has warned publicly of catastrophic consequences for global oil markets if the strait remains closed. And through all of this, the GPS war continues invisibly around the clock, affecting every vessel that tries to navigate the Gulf. Not with missiles, not with mines, not with any weapon that appears on a targeting screen or shows up on a satellite image, but with false coordinates delivered silently to navigation receivers, turning the most technologically advanced shipping infrastructure in history into a fleet of vessels that cannot reliably confirm where they are. This is what Iran studied. This is what it prepared. America built its naval dominance on the assumption that no adversary could contest it in open water. Iran has not contested it in open water. Iran has made open water irrelevant. It has made the Strait of Hormuz, a 33-kilometer GPS-jammed minefield of drone boats and naval mines and IRGC speedcraft, where the mathematics of asymmetric warfare, cheap attack, expensive defense, favor the defenders so overwhelmingly that 3 carrier groups with combined air power exceeding most nations' entire militaries have decided the risk of entering is too high. When the most powerful navy in history decides a strait is too dangerous, that strait is closed. Not by force, by calculation. Trump promised the Navy would escort tankers through. His energy secretary announced it happened, it hadn't. The price of oil swung 17% in one afternoon based on a deleted tweet. The carrier groups are still outside. On a navigation screen somewhere in the Gulf tonight, a tanker captain is watching his ship's GPS place him inside a building that is 10 kilometers inland. He knows it is wrong. He does not know where he actually is. That is exactly where Iran wants him.